I don't think we've talked to anyone yet in the government, so we're pleased to have Congressman Doug Collins join us now. Also, Judiciary Committee ranking member. Congressman, thanks for joining us. Do you get filled in on things that we may not know anything about? Can you add anything to the events of the last 24 hours? Give us some insight.
Well, I think the biggest insight we have is we expected a response. That was not anything that anybody would have not expected from Iran. I mean, the good part about it is it does appear at this point there were no casualties. This seems to be a response in which they sent missiles over into certain areas in which they, in some ways, it seems like they actually telegraphed what they wanted to do. But I think it's important here to notice that Iran wanting to, as your reporter just said, wanting to appear as a equal to the United States on the international stage. Well, there's a problem here. Iran is not the equal to the United States on the international stage. Iran is a terrorist state who does terrorist activities. You know, to quote the UN Charter as the reason that they actually responded was sort of a joke in considering how they actually respond in the Middle East, and especially their reaction to Israel and the other partners in that area. This is just a situation in which a state has isolated itself from the world. The response that the president did was very proportional and very basically muted. Even though we took out Soleimani, he had been very patient over the last year with Iran, and I think we're just seeing that come to a head right now. And I think the president's acting in a very patient, mediated way.
Do you think when the president says all is well, what does he mean by that? That all is well on the bases, or all is well in keeping this conflict where it is right now, and neither side could be expected to accelerate from here?
I think the answer could be yes to both. I think it's not as all as well with our bases. I think that our troops, and having served in Iraq in 2008, this is a very unstable region in which there is a lot of activities and a lot of hostilities that go on during this time. But I think what he basically meant is that all is well. Our bases are secure. Our folks were on heightened alert. They took precautions that they needed to, and also the simple fact that we're going to continue to stand firm in our resolve in what we're doing. And I think it just simply says to Iran that you're not going to intimidate us. We're not a country that you're going to push around, that we're going to stand firm. And this president has made it very clear that he will be patient up to a point, but he will act. He doesn't draw red lines that he has no intention of keeping. But he also doesn't telegraph them either. And I think that's what makes this administration a little different.
Congressman, there's a lot of people on the left, and maybe even some in your party, that at least they are presenting a narrative that we didn't need to get here, that, yeah, he was a bad guy. Everybody agreed with that. The Obama administration designated Soleimani as a terrorist, but they had opportunities to do this and decided that the unforeseen consequences, the loss of life on both sides, wouldn't be worth doing it. Do you think that something in recent weeks pushed that up to where it made sense to do this, even though there could be this type of outcome now?
Well, it is sort of amazing to me, my friends on the left who are now upset about this and talking about the possible consequences. It's amazing how the whole country came together, that when Osama bin Laden was killed, both left and right came together to recognize that taking out a terrorist was something that you did that was appropriate. I think the interesting part here is that in this taking out, it was not just something that just came out of the blue. This was an escalating event from Iran over the past year, with issues in the Straits of Hormuz and other things in Iraq, and the terrorist activities that they're supporting in Syria and other places. But remember here, it is amazing for those on the left to criticize this. I would just ask them, what would they say to the Gold Star families here in the United States who lost family members because of what Soleimani had been doing over the years? What would they say to those veterans right now who are at Walter Reed and other places who lost limbs and arms because of what he did providing the IEDs in Iraq and how he went about that terrorist campaign? Look, at this point in time, Soleimani was a terrorist. Soleimani was killed. Soleimani is put in the history books, and now it's time for us to move on. If Iran wants to actually take part in the world stage as a true world participant, then they've got to release their terroristic activities and quit being a nation that is backward looking and start looking forward and be a part of the world stage.